Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, we are back here for another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 62 on Facebook Live and Twitch. So definitely make sure to check us out on both of those platforms. On Facebook at /PCN Final Score, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/PCN Final Score. That way you can watch this baby live because we're trying to have a good time and we just keep this thing on rolling. 62, man, we're getting geriatric with it. So let me go ahead and bring in my co-host now, none other than Greg Campbell. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, man. Had a great weekend. Had an awesome interview last night with Chris LeBron that we're going to see in a little bit here on the show, and it's been a good weekend. I know you and I both have been super busy with work, so the fact that we even got a chance to do this weekend, is a feat in and of itself. How are you doing?
Hanging in there by a thread, but hey, still hanging in there, and that's all that counts. And you know what? Like you said, we've went through a lot this week to be able to get here for episode 62, but we are here, and that is the important thing. So, you know what? We got to get things rolling, but to make sure that you know all things Final Score and keep up with all things Final Score, you got to follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on there, give us a like, give us a follow, share with your friends, invite your friends, leave a comment, send us a message, let us know how we're doing, and more importantly than anything, leave a rating. You know, we really look to those things to really know how good we are doing, to make sure that we're trying to bring the very best that we can. So definitely do that. That way we know what we need to do. So pretty plain and simple. But we're on a lot of content platforms too.
Absolutely. And you can find any of our audio podcasts on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, and of course our host Podbean. You can find all those within a few days after we have our each episode. And as well, you can find this video version and any other content that we release on our YouTube page. All you have to do, search keyword Final Score, one word, on any of those platforms to find all of our content. All of our shows go on our YouTube, all of the interviews that we do, and any of like the game streaming, the rugby review, all that stuff gets released both in audio and video form. So if you want to check it out, however you like listening to podcasts, we've got you covered.
Yeah, most definitely. And I have to tell on myself. I have to apologize to all of our fans. I have not posted episode 61, the video version. It is still in editing, but the audio version is available. So definitely make sure to go check out all of our audio platforms. That way you can go ahead and catch all of that. But the video portion will be up tonight. I tell you, it's just been a crazy week, man. So at the end of the day, though, we really try to do the best we can. So definitely make sure to check out and follow. But like you said, you had a great interview with Chris LeBron last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris LeBron, the host of the Off the Ball podcast, joined me last night. We talked a lot of stuff. We're going to show you a little bit of the interview. We talked for 45 minutes last night. So we're going to show you a little bit of that interview, and the rest of it, I'll tell about how you can find the rest once we go through and watch this clip.
Definitely. So enjoy.
Hey, everybody. It's Craig with Final Score on Podcast City Network, and I have brought on one of the hardest working sports podcasters that is out there right now, Chris LeBron of the Off the Ball podcast. Chris, thanks so much for joining the show.
Craig, thank you for having me on, brother. It's been we've been trying to make this happen for a little bit, and I'm just I'm happy to be on and ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm happy we can finally get you on. You know, with the coronavirus pandemic and everything, we're planning on getting you on right in March, and then everything shut down. We're starting to slowly back up, open back up, whether it's smart or not. But how are things going with you in New York?
Yeah, man. Obviously, New York got hit really, really, really hard. So it's been a crazy few months, but just trying to stay sane, trying to keep it, trying to keep going day by day, and just follow the regulations and what they telling us, and just making the best of it. There's nothing there's nothing more you can do. There's nothing they
Yeah.
can do. You just gotta
Yep.
take it day by day and just little by little. They're opening up a little bit more here and there, and so it's getting a little bit back. Thank God it's warm out. And so you can even with everywhere wearing a mask, you could still go out a little bit. But not seeing basketball hoops suck. That's
Yeah.
depressing. They literally took down every basketball hoop imaginable. Like, luckily my downstairs landlord, they have a basketball hoop back here, so if I want to shoot, I can shoot here. But not seeing basketball hoops in New York City, that's like that's like seeing
That should be illegal. Like, it
Yeah.
should be.
not
it
seeing a
should-
basketball hoop in New York City is just absolutely crazy. But we got to take this serious. We got like crazy numbers. Like I said, we got a lot of cases. But just taking it day by day, man. It's just just follow the rules and
Yeah.
see what happens. Hopefully, we get back to some type of normalcy in the next couple of weeks or whatever.
Let's talk about your podcast a little bit. And you just released yesterday, as an actual Thursday this would be. Thursday, episode 54, and just rolling down some of the lists. Obviously the Baser podcast, you yourself, big Knicks fan, and not only just about basketball, but a lot of other other things as well. But basketball is kind of the main focus there. And some of the people I've seen and heard listening to your episodes, it's quite impressive. I mean, you have people from The Athletic. I see you have a lot of draft prospects coming on.
Yeah, I just got my third one yesterday. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
Talking Knicks, NBA redrafts. Those are really fun podcasts to listen to. I enjoy those.
Yeah. I'm working on doing a few more because a lot of people tell me that they like doing that. But the NBA draft prospect stuff has been fun. I think I got a couple more lined up in the next coming weeks, so I'm looking forward to doing more of those. But yeah, it's just fun. I've kind of pretty much made it like a just me hosting. I never planned it to be that way, but it kind of, I just saw that I kind of like the hosting, and I'm not really that type of person to talk in an interview. I've never been like a good speaker and then be like a host type, but I just saw the way I was doing it, and it kind of just happened on accident. You just get a guest, and then you realize okay, I'm pretty much the host, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like the banter back and forth. I've done solo shows, but I like bouncing off people and just having that interaction. I think it's more organic. It's more for me. It's just more fun. So I've kind of based it like that. But as far as getting guests and stuff, I mean, I never thought I would get any type of a guest. When I first started, I was like, who's gonna want to come on my show? And you just you send out DMs, you send out emails, and 3 out of 10 times, I might hit. And the other 7 times I'll get left on red, or I'll just won't get an email back. But it's a part of the game, it's part of the process. So
I'll be curious, what made you get into podcasting? What made you want to get into sports podcasting?
It's crazy. I've dabbled in it years ago, maybe because I'm 31. I probably started it probably like 7 years ago, my first try at it, and I had a co-host, and we just didn't work. It didn't work out. Scheduling, I'm sure how it feels, trying to work out schedules with your co-host, and that could sometimes be difficult, and we just could never get the same schedules, and we kiboshed that. Tried it again and just couldn't get the rhythm. And then I've been doing this for a year with this podcast, and I just said, let me just try to do it. Let me have a plan, because sometimes when you just go into a raw, you don't know what the hell you're doing. And you're like, all right, I should have done that. So this time, planned it out as much as I can, trying to figure out, okay, I got to get a mic, got to blah, blah, blah. But, I didn't get a mic. I didn't get anything. I just started talking on the computer and just did that. And that's how I started. And then I just, I would go on and off. Work was a killer. It was the travel was 2 hours to work, 2 hours back, so it was just a grind. I was like, I'll get home tired, so I'll go on and off for like a few months, and then around December I moved closer to my job 15 minutes from away from my job. So it kind of was like, I get home early. And I'm like, okay, I'm not tired. I can actually like work on it. So that's when I started getting good mics, getting all this. And I really went, so I would say from like December till now is when I've been really just nonstop. Like, okay, I'm putting all my effort into it. And, it's, like with anything, you put time and effort into it, you'll see some type of success, whatever it is. I'm not saying I'm super successful, but I feel like I've turned something from nothing to a little bit of something. I feel like a little something. I've created a little, buzz, a little, and learning from all the these podcast Facebook groups, and I didn't know there was a huge podcast community on Twitter. I mean, I didn't know it existed, like, and that's awesome because we like we said, you always think about ESPN, Fox News, CBS, Sirius, like place you consume radio, but just a whole nother world of talented creators that exist and people don't know about it. And luckily, be able to network with guys like you and a whole bunch of other guys, and learning from everyone, and it seems like in the community, like you're in the part of that community. We're all, it seems like everyone looks out for each other. Everyone
absolutely
learn from it. No one's trying to, we're not trying to beat numbers. I want to beat his, trying to be better than him. It's like everyone helps each other, and I think that just helps helps everyone get better. And that's just awesome. So I've learned so much from podcasting, learning how to edit, because how it is, a grind to edit. Once you gotta do the pre-production, you gotta make sure you got all your notes right, especially if you're doing having a guest, making sure you know what you're talking about, make sure you get the prop, the name. That's the one thing with my first guest, Asasu Asai guy. I finally just now figured out how to say it. And I'm like, that was the one thing I was stressing. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, how do I say his name? So I would go on YouTube and like find a highlight clip, and they would say his name, and I would just like repeat like on loop for like the whole day. I'm like, all right, Asasu Asai guy, and I'm just figuring out. So that was my biggest. But other than that, man, just learning from so many people and just improving the podcast little by little, adding, upgrading a mic, whether it's upgrading software, just learning that stuff. And, like I said, man, it's been fun doing this, man. I'm just, I wish the world was open. I wish we were allowed to go outside and, maybe interact, especially with some of the local people here. Man, it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more.
Who's been your favorite episode, or at least your favorite guest so far?
Favorite guest? I had on a gentleman, was it Michael Lazenby? Let me get his correct name before I mess it up. But Roland Lazenby, my apologies. Roland Lazenby, and he wrote the book about Michael Jordan called The Life.
Oh,
and,
yes, I saw that.
Yeah, this that I got a lot of great feedback with it, and that was one interview where I really, like, I left work early to make sure that, because this one I was like, this is really important to me. It was one I took serious. I was like, this is a big time author, and he wrote books about Jordan and Kobe, and he's working one on Magic Johnson. He's wrote one about Jerry West, and he actually wrote about the Last Stand, that last year of the Bulls. He wrote about that.
Really?
So he's like a really, well-respected author. But just the interview, he was so cool. First of all, I was really worried, like, maybe he just want to do like 10 minutes, and he's like, no, go, just talk. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And we talked for like an hour, but it was just the knowledge, like, and I've read his book, and he gets very detailed about Jordan, and it's not just about this playing career. He gets into so much, and he talks about how he spent time with Michael Jordan, and he spent time with Kobe Bryant, because he wrote, like I said, he wrote the book about Kobe. And there's one part in particular that still to this day it gets me. He talks about Jordan and Kobe, and they both had a coach that both coached Jordan and Kobe. I can't remember the name, but he talks about that, and he talks about an instance where Kobe wants the coach to come up to California and help him get through some playing, coach him up a little bit about whatever. And so he goes up there, and then while Roland talks about it, he says he would fly up to LA, and then they would go on that damn helicopter, the same helicopter unfortunately Kobe passed away in. But the way he said it with such anger that you felt, and I felt it, like I was like I goosebumps. I had legit goosebumps, and I remember just like, whoa, like taking a second, like he was like, that damn helicopter they went on, and it was like, because he's like that same helicopter that Kobe passed away in, that's the same one they would go on. I would say, just be careful. And it's like, oh no, it's fine. I do this all day. This is how I travel quick. And unfortunately, it's the same one that Kobe, unfortunately passed away in.
Yeah.
But it was just a powerful, like, it just, and a lot of people hit me up. It was like, yo, I felt that. I felt that. Like, it's very rare that you feel like something that you remember. And just when he said it like 2-3, like a couple times. But I could. It's like I know he said he had his fist in a. He was
clenched fist. Yeah.
His fist, and he was just like that damn helicopter, and you just felt it because he was close to Kobe too.
Yeah.
He had a lot of stories. That's another book I have to get into. But yeah, that's one of my favorites, just because it was just he's filled with so much knowledge. There was so many great stories to talk about with Jordan, and like I said, that part was so powerful, man. I think that's something I'll never forget.
Yeah,
but
I got goosebumps right now, actually, just hearing you redo it.
Even my girlfriend, and she's probably like the kitchen, and she was like, yeah. It was crazy, but yeah, that's got to be that's probably my number one as of now. I love all of them. All of them.
Absolutely.
Them, but that one's definitely number one.
Yeah. Hey, let's tell everybody where they can find out about Off the Ball Podcast and where they can find you, Chris.
Yes, Off the Ball Podcast. So I'm on all social media. I'm on Twitter, on Instagram, Off the Ball Pod. I got a Facebook page, Off the Ball Podcast. You can find me there. I'm very active on Twitter and Instagram. So, hit me up there, follow me. I'm always saying something, especially about my unfortunate, my New York Knicks, so I'm always talking. I'm always on there. You can find the podcast. The podcast is available on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. I do also do some YouTube stuff when I do some live video. So I'm actually the last interview I'm going to actually work on that tomorrow and have that up on YouTube. So I just redesigned my website, theofftheballpodcast.com. So I write some articles from here and there on there, and have some guys help me out. Some of my friends help me out, write some stuff. And I got merch on the way, which I'm really excited about. I got hats and shirts. I got wristbands too on the way.
Yes.
Super excited about that. That's been something I've been really focusing on. I haven't done as much podcast. I usually probably do a couple a week. Now it's been kind of one, because I've been really focusing on, trying to get, the designs and making sure, the production is all, ready to go. So hopefully I'll have those out in the next few weeks. So, but that's it, man. I'm just, I'm also doing a lot of NBA draft stuff. I'm a big draft nerd, so I'm working on my own, doing all my, I've been doing a lot of international guys right now. That's what I've been focused on, but, working on doing my own, big board. I'll maybe have that in the next week, but yeah. That's where you can find me. I'm just, I'm having fun doing this, man. It's definitely been a fun ride so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know having all that time now, it's definitely been a blessing for you. You, like I said, you are got to be one of the hardest working sports podcasters that I've seen and know of. So
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. You can find this interview, of course, is going to be posted on our YouTube page. You can find us on social media at FinalScore. It's at PCN FinalScore, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on YouTube. Chris, thank you so much for joining, and we'll look forward to having you on again soon, man.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate being on, man. You guys do great work too. So I'm looking forward to, having you guys on my show very soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
All right, brother. Take care.
Man, I tell you what, that was a really great interview. A lot of great stuff. And you can also find Off the Ball Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Off the Ball Pod. Man, really great stuff. And where can we find the rest of that interview, Craig?
So we're going to post the entirety of this interview, all 45 minutes of it. We talked, you just heard a little bit talking about his podcast and his favorite guest that he had, that Kobe story. I said it in the comments. I got goosebumps hearing that story about Kobe and his helicopter. And but that whole thing is going to be, we talked about the NBA possibly coming back. We even talked a little bit of baseball. We talked NBA draft. We talked about a bunch of stuff. So that video in its entirety will be posted on all of our social medias as well as on YouTube. So if you want to check those out, we'll be looking forward to that. Hopefully by tomorrow, I'll be able to have that up. If not, by Monday for sure. So be on the lookout for that on YouTube and all of our social media for the entirety. He's doing a lot of great stuff with that, with his podcast, Off the Ball. Mentioned all the kind of people that he's had on his show as guests, and he's a great talent. I was really happy that we were able to get him on, and he's doing a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, and it's really awesome to be able to finally start bringing some guests on, those new things that we're trying to do here at Final Score, and get things real exciting because, we always like to cover sports and we like to get other perspectives because, I know I go a little hardcore sometimes, it just kind of is what it is. And, we just kind of leave it at that. But, we like to bring in those varying perspectives, that way we can kind of bring that nice round. No one cares about Detroit. Okay. just put it to the side. You guys need to win something first.
You want this? You want this instead? Look at this gem I got.
Oh my gosh. As much as I want to crack on you for it, it actually looks really cool.
Stainless steel. Legit.
My God. Dang.
I got to find a place to put it. I got to have a man cave.
Now I gotta go get me one. Give me a nice Flyers one. Anyways, all that aside, we'll be able to fight over our NHL supremacy once all that returns. But all the great things that we do here at Final Score is thanks to none other than Podcast City Network. You can check out our parent network, Podcast City Network, on all their myriad of social media outlets, whether it be on Facebook /Podcast City Network, on Twitter at Podcast City Net, on YouTube at Podcast City Network. Just give us a follow and subscribe on the website, podcastcity.net. So easy to get there. And PCN is your home for up-and-coming independent podcasts. We have so many different podcasts that are now on there, and Final Score is one of those proud members, and it just keep growing every day. And I caught a little win from hold on, let me point to the other side of the craziness in my life is that there's some more shows that are going to be debuting very, very soon. So definitely make sure to keep your eyes peeled. And we've already added so many with Coda and Urban Nerd Weekly and so many great shows that are joining the family. So really great stuff. And if you want to join Podcast City Network, it's really not as hard as you think. We offer an array of membership services, including logo design and branding, social media advertising, live podcast hosting, and much, much more. You also gain access to our network of shows to help with cross-promotion, guests, and overall reach, while also becoming a part of our ever-expanding PCN community based on people helping people. The best part is no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net /join now and join the fastest-growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network. Man, a lot of great stuff going on.
So while we're talking all the great things that are happening with Podcast City Network, the exact opposite is happening with Major League Baseball.
Oh, gosh.
The exact opposite is happening with Major League Baseball right now. Chris and I kind of got a little bit into talking about their issues, but if you're living under a rock, Major League Baseball is one of the only sports it seems like they just can't get their ish together to get back to playing. So the MLB had their latest proposal Friday. The owners submitted it to the MLBPA. The proposal was rejected today, Saturday. 80% prorated salary. The players are firm on 100% prorated salaries. The player would be paid 70% during the season and the rest upon completion of the postseason. Trying to get in 72 games and then start on July 14th. But obviously the players are not budging. They're super firm on this. And it's just rough right now.
Yeah, it's really rough. And at the end of the day, we've seen proposals flying back and forth. Nobody's wanting to budge. I can understand why players want to get paid, but at the end of the day, we're kind of going through a whole pandemic that kind of stopped the world. So, I feel there needs to be a little bit more give on both sides. So let's try and come together. If you can see how all these other sports leagues, let's not forget that we've already seen the NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer, UFC. UFC went and bought an island to try and have fights, okay? So don't tell me that you can't figure out a way, Major League Baseball, to get this thing done. Because no matter how you look at it, with how it's going, this guy right here is going to get fired. Hashtag Fire Manfred. So at the end of the day, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I've been on this train for a long time.
Yeah.
Even before when they should have come down with the wrath of God on the Houston Astros, which they didn't because they should have done this instead.
And let's not forget the breaking news that also came out that there was a letter from Major League Baseball that was unsealed by a federal judge that revealed, the New York Yankees might have been a part of sign stealing in 2017. So the plot thickens. Now you're 3 teams deep, Manfred.
So at this point, I don't know who's worse, Major League Baseball or the NCAA, because they're both sweeping things under the rug pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, it's pretty bad. And this is going to be displayed very prominently on every show until it happens. From here on out, I'm going to put it somewhere on this set, and I'm going to make it much more pretty. This was literally like 2 minutes. I had to get something quick for the show.
Dude, hey, I got to give you props. That you did good over there, sir. You did good.
Yeah. But so hopefully the MLB wants a counter proposal by Sunday. But they said this is their, quote, final proposal. They're basically saying, line in the sand, this is what we're doing. The MLBPA, they tried to put out an 89-game proposal for 100% prorated salaries on Tuesday. That was rejected. MLBPA has already come back and said, nope, we're not going to counter anything. Like, we've already put our foot down. So, man, I think MLB is in really rough shape because they, at the end of next season, not the end of this season if they have one, the next season, that is the end of their collective bargaining agreement. And what's happened every couple of years with baseball? A potential strike. I think they're going to go through with it again. And I think they're going to have a strike. And I think baseball is in deep trouble. I've been saying this for weeks on this show since we've come back. Baseball is in deep trouble, and it saddens me as a baseball fan. But that's the nature of what they're doing. They're like the NCAA. They're not willing to change, and they're not trying to get with the times. They're not trying to do what's in best interest of the game. They're in what's the best interest of their pockets. And
that's the worst part.
That is the worst part because you know that I'm on the side of the players. They only have a very short career. And why not try? If teams are willing to give these players this kind of money, you got to go for it. You got to get it. You got to get it where you can because the machine's going to keep turning with or without you as a player. So it's really up to them to both be humans about it, be adults about it, and fire this guy.
Get rid of that guy. It might make it a little bit easier. But that's another thing you got to look at with this whole situation is that it's all about money, and at the end of the day, people just need sports. We just need things to get back to some kind of normalcy, and everybody's going to have to kind of bite the bullet on this because if you don't, you're going to end up in this situation. And it's so funny that we see Major League Baseball being that league that's just going to be that sore thumb sticking out that's just going to look bad, and it just keeps getting worse. And the real question begs, though, how bad does this get? How much trouble is Major League Baseball in?
They don't play this year. There's going to be no season for MLB this year. I think they will get back to regular season next year, depending on COVID, because if this COVID pandemic hangs out for as long as experts and scientists believe it could hang out, we're talking about we could see these sports affected into next year.
Right.
So we're assuming everything gets back to normal by the end of the year. Baseball will resume next year, and then they're going to have a strike, and then I think you're going to see some major, major reform and change in the game of baseball because I think they're going to strike. I think they're going to miss at least half the year, like the strike shortened season they had in the 90s.
Yeah. Definitely could see that end up happening. And, like we said, with the CBA, there's no way they can strike legally. So they would have to hold out until it ends after next season. But this season, I don't know. The Players Association has already told Major League Baseball at this point, obviously, we're not coming back with a counteroffer, and have said pretty plainly, let us know how many games we're playing. Let us know when we're coming back. Where's the exact quote? Let me find that, Jody, because it's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So the Players Association said, informative how many games it intends to play and when players should report, and just left it at that. Had no further comment, no further stuff they wanted to put out there, and said that obviously both sides are at an impasse, and that's where it's at. So it just looks like two bickering sides who want to fight about money, because this is literally what all this is about. The amount of games doesn't matter at this point. It's just the fact that players want to get paid and owners don't want to pay up. This is what it's coming down to, and it's just honestly sad. And I think this could end up being the undoing of Major League Baseball. You already see the American Association already has its launch plan, a minor league baseball league that is already going to also have a 33% fan attendance. So if they can figure it out, you're telling me Major League Baseball can't? So
Well, minor league's a little bit different because the players make a lot less, and the teams aren't on the hook for
these
playing
aren't the
those
minors,
players.
though. These aren't the minors. This is just a minor league. So these aren't the minors. The minors are still shut down.
So you're talking about an independent baseball league.
Yes.
Well, the players there make like food scraps, and that's about it. So
But
yeah,
still.
I would imagine. But yeah, they want to do it for the love of the game because they know that's what they're playing for. They're not playing for. I know in those leagues, I'm pretty sure you have to pay a big fee to even play in that league, which helps.
Not in this
Which helps repay you back.
But the big thing, you gotta look at, though, at the end of the day, if they can go out and do it for the love of the game, these baseball players are now starting to take that stance because they know they're not going to be able to come to any kind of an agreement. So,
yeah, there's just too much with these major sports, which is why we mentioned about the NBA last week. I don't think they should come back yet, but there's too much money involved.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the NFL and college football. It's not gonna look the same this year because COVID's still gonna be around when college football starts. But there's so much money involved, they have to try to get something moving, and unfortunately that's the way it is, and it's gonna hurt baseball because there's so much money that is involved in the players. I think hopefully, fingers crossed, the next collective bargaining agreement, they find some way to shorten the season and make things more exciting for fans. Hardcore fans, we're going to watch. We're always going to watch. We're going to watch our team. And it's the casual fans that they need to worry about because casual fans don't give two craps about baseball anymore.
It's getting sad. It's just getting sad.
It's going to be rough. But I don't think we see baseball this year at all, unfortunately.
Man, and that's the thing, too, is that they're really trying to stick to being able to have their playoffs in the World Series in October. So, I mean, we're ticking. You're talking 4 months now from October, less than 3.5. So, I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But, what does always work out nicely is PodChaser.
Yes, PodChaser. It's a very interesting segue. I thought you were going to talk about MLB draft, but we'll talk about PodChaser because PodChaser is your daily source for podcast discovery. Apple Podcasts is no longer the only place that you can rate and review podcasts. On PodChaser, you can follow creators, you can browse every podcast ever made, and review individual episodes. And you can do basically anything on that platform. And guess what? We're also on PodChaser. Podchaser.com, just search keyword FinalScore, one word. You can go ahead and give us a follow. You can follow each of us individually as creators, and then you can rate and review us. You can actually, the other cool thing is if we are guests on someone else's show, we get credits on PodChaser for, being on people's shows. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely some really great stuff. But, you want to talk about that MLB draft. We'll go ahead and jump into that because, I'm just so sick with baseball. It's like I feel the MLB draft was almost a minor footnote that it even took place. Like, just so much bad stuff going on. It was like, oh, yeah, look at that happened. So
it was hilarious because Manfred said on national television on ESPN that he's very hopeful that they're going to play baseball. He almost guarantees they're going to play baseball this year, which is funny because he's clearly just talking out of his ass and he doesn't know what he's talking about because he said certain things when it came to the Astros too, and everyone's like, no, that's not, like, why are you saying that? he said the same thing about baseball. He thinks they're going to come back. It's not going to happen. But the biggest thing about this baseball draft is they shorten it down to 5 rounds. That's it. I mean, in baseball, you're normally talking about a 40-round draft, and they did it to 5. They just shortened it down to 5 because they know salaries are going to be way lower in this next year and everything. There's a lot of pieces that got involved, but 5 rounds, it's so small for when you're talking about developing a whole minor league system.
Mm-hmm.
But on the bright side, the only bright note that the Tigers had is we had the number 1 pick, and we took Spencer Torkelson out of Arizona State. This dude has comparisons to Pete Alonso. This dude has power, and not only does he have power, it's not just he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Like number 2 pick was Heston Kjerstad, and he's got power, but he has a lot of swing and miss. But they were talking about how Spencer Torkelson not only has a combination of just hand speed and he can hit, but hit with power. So I'm really interested to see where they're going to play him. He's played his whole career at Arizona State as a first baseman, but he was listed as a third baseman based on one scout's analysis that he could maybe play third base. I don't know what the hell's going on with that, but I'm happy to see this guy in the organization. Tigers are, again, building one of the best farm systems in the league. So hopefully within the next couple of years, we see this guy in the major leagues along with the rest of that really, 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 really good farm system that the Tigers have.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. The Red Sox didn't have a pick until pick 17, though. We ended up taking Nicholas Anthony York, a high school senior out of Archbishop Midi in San Jose, California. So not a whole lot on him currently, but he's a second baseman. He's about 6 foot, 200 pounds. So we'll see how he works out. But with everything being shortened, a lot of attention being taken away from the draft. They definitely shortened it to 5 rounds, which was crazy to think of because we remember the MLB draft lasting days, and now is like. Oh, okay. So, but cool thing though is that the first 7 picks all were actually college picks. None of them were high school. So it was very interesting. But one of the first high school players that was taken off, the 9th pick, is actually a local here at Spruce from. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied talking about MLB baseball. Spruce Creek High School, right up the road from us, near Daytona Beach. Senior who is an outfielder, Zach Veen, got drafted to the Colorado Rockies with the 9th pick of the draft. So 6'4", 190 pounds. So definitely a big old guy. So we'll definitely see how he works out in the outfield for the Rockies. So if we have baseball.
Yeah, baseball has been the last couple of years incentivizing players. Basically now you either have to go straight out of high school or you have to wait 3 years, 2 to 3 years to play in college. So you're seeing a lot more players go to college, and once they're there, they have to stay. So I think it's going to be a continuing trend. Less and less high school players are going to be drafted right away unless they're very, very top-tier prospects like Zach Veen, like Robert Hassel III, who also went in that top 10 range. But the biggest surprise was at number 2, Heston Kjerstad that I mentioned. He was ranked the 10th best prospect in this draft, and he went number 2. Everyone thought it would be Austin Martin, the shortstop out of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is a powerhouse school in the world of baseball. So
absolutely are.
Watch out for the Toronto Blue Jays because they have a lot of young guys. They have a very good young core to build around.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was crazy just to see how that worked out. And you're right, Vanderbilt has been always a powerhouse. So really great to see them still be able to get players into the majors on a regular basis. But baseball, though, is going to be interesting, especially for these prospects. Because you got to think with these prospects coming in, now they're dealing with the players not necessarily returning the play right away. And where does their maturation, how do they stay in shape? How do they, approach training? Everything's different now.
Absolutely. I think that baseball's not coming back, unfortunately. Maybe by next year's spring training, early February when they can actually report again, that might be the next time we see baseball is, February, March.
Very well could be. And, we'll see how it ends up working out. But, something that's worked out really nice for us is Bullhorn. Look at that. That's a better segue. I like that one. So Bullhorn puts a new spin on listening to podcasts. Bullhorn's mission is to extend the reach of podcasts to everyone's ear, regardless of location or income. No data or expensive smartphone is needed. Stream from your device or call into your podcast of choice without using up any of your data. All you have to do is go into your Android or Apple device, go right into the store and search for go look for keyword Bullhorn, download the Bullhorn app, and then go search keyword FinalScore, one word, and give us a follow and listen, and you get to do it for free. So go do it now. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? But
Right.
there's been some big news in the last couple days in the world of college sports.
That's right.
Yeah, and USC finally ends their 10-year disassociation with Reggie Bush, one of the greatest college football players of all time, one of the most talented guys on the field, no matter the generation. That was a bit of a surprise to me.
You know, the thing is that there was a bylaw passed by the NCAA that once they executed that 10-year disassociation rule, or once they put the disassociation rule in place, they ended up putting in a 10-year buffer to that. So you could only disassociate for up to 10 years. Then after that, it was up to the establishment whether they want to actually associate with the athlete again. That didn't pass until I think it was 2013, 3 years after this was already ruled on. So it was interesting to kind of see how this maturated. Reggie Bush definitely was destroyed. He's the first Heisman winner ever to send back his trophy and to not be recognized by the trust. And if you are living under a rock and you don't know anything about college football, then what are you doing, dude? Still, former USC running back Reggie Bush and his family had took a bunch of different kinds of gifts, SUVs, a house, from two sports marketers back when he played for USC from 2003 to 2005. What's bad about that, though, is that it's against the rules. You can't do that. So what ended up happening? 2010, USC gets hit with a 2-year bowl ban, 4 years probation, a reduction of 30 scholarships over 3 years, as well as forfeiting the 2004 national title and 14 victories spanning 2 seasons. So definitely left USC kind of crippled.
Yeah, it really hurt them for a while. And USC, used to be a big powerhouse in college football, and they're still a big name, but not quite on the field. Clay Helton's been doing what he can with that program. But USC announced on Wednesday, it was 10 years to the day, that the Trojans were ending their disassociation with the former running back. And USC President Carol Folt wrote in a letter to Bush on Wednesday that he could now, quote, be afforded the privileges and courtesies extended to all Trojan football alums, end quote. Now, this is a huge can of worms that we can, we'll probably, hopefully, only a little bit jump into. But I got to ask you, Chris, do you think that the Heisman Trust ever returns Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy?
So the jerseys that hang on my wall, which side is it on? The logo that beats on my chest. I still think Reggie Bush should have back his Heisman because no matter how you look at it, he still did what he did on that football field. Money, SUVs, all that crap doesn't really change that. The guy had athletic ability, and he was able to use it to make defenders look flat out silly. So I think give it back. He served his time. He even gave back his Heisman. Nobody's ever done. O.J. Simpson still has his Heisman. And,
didn't he auction it off?
Yeah, and that he auctioned off. But he's still recognized as a Heisman winner by the Heisman Trust, and Reggie Bush is not. So I think if you can have someone like O.J. Simpson be able to still carry on the lineage of being a Heisman winner, Reggie Bush should be able to have that opportunity too. He didn't hurt anybody. He was just trying to help himself and his family like a lot of people might have in that situation. So
I can't blame him.
I can't either.
This is what's wrong with the NCAA. Taking a SUV, house, and stuff like that. That's it's a little shady.
Love it.
I mean, you can't even go to the local. You can't even go to the local pizza shop and get a slice of pizza, which is a reference that Chris and I were talking about in our interview. We talked about NCAA as well in this kind of situation that players get into, and you can't even go get a free meal from anybody, even though you have zero money when you're at these schools because you can't take money. So it's really sad and unfortunate. I was a little surprised Reggie Bush didn't go the Chris Webber route, because Chris Webber was so upset with the fact that the NCAA did what they did to Michigan, and then Michigan disassociated themselves with the Fab Five. Like, Chris Webber still, even until recently, wants nothing to do with University of Michigan because he felt so wronged by them. I wouldn't have been surprised if Reggie Bush felt the same way.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would understand that, but I know that Reggie Bush still had, his special relationship with USC. He loved being a Trojan. He loved his time there, playing along Lendell White and being there with Pete Carroll and playing with Matt Leinart and the whole Bush push against Notre Dame. But anyways, all that aside, though, the guy still wanted to be able to have that connection, and it was kind of out of USC's hand at that point when all this ended up going through. It also kind of stinks that because of NCAA rules, you end up punishing players and in some cases, an athletic department that didn't even have anything to do with it at that time, because this wasn't handed down until 2010. So
Yeah.
All that being said, it's just kind of ridiculous how much the NCAA reaches. Was it a little extra and shady? Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, I don't think it should have resulted in what it did. So that's where we're at.
It sucks that the schools have to go through these things. In 2010, that was, Pete Carroll was already well and gone and in the NFL. And we see this kind of stuff happen with John Calipari. Everywhere he goes, I'm surprised we haven't heard anything about him in Kentucky yet, but everywhere he goes, the school always gets hit with sanctions after he leaves. And it's like, why are you punishing the school for the guy that actually did it? Like, they should, I don't know the whole story behind the people, the two marketers and all the other people he took the gifts from, but why not go after those people instead of punishing a kid who was in a tough situation? You've got these people showering you with stuff, and you are not just a celebrity. You are a celebrity in Southern California. You're a celebrity in LA. He was a bigger celebrity then than I would even say because at this point, this was the end of the Lakers dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
He was the biggest name in LA at this time. What do you expect? Of course he's going to get offered all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it only makes sense. But yeah, that LA lifestyle. But it's good to see this kind of end and see USC and Reggie Bush at the very least be able to come back together. Still, the Heisman Trust has not released any comment about the situation, so hopefully maybe we'll hear something. But
them old white men are not giving him back his trophy. Them old white men are not giving him back his trophy.
I don't know. We're in 2020 during our proverbial second civil rights movement. Maybe they'll just do it so people will get off their back, because
I hope so, because
the right thing.
He deserves to have it back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let murderer walk free with a Heisman, and then let him auction it. God. Anyways, aside, though,
they didn't hear that until way, way later. But yeah, we want to give a quick shout out before we move on to sports history to Alec and Sean at Radius Digital Marketing. They've been extremely helpful in helping build our brand and expanding our audience. They specialize in ad management, lead generation, brand awareness, and social media marketing. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, contact Alec at alekanuzis at radiusdm.com. That's ALEKANUZIS at radiusdm.com for more information.
Yes. Awesomeness that they have done for us, Radius Digital Marketing. Really great bunch of guys, and just really happy to be working with them and having them part of Final Score. So really awesome stuff. But now it is time for This Week in Sports History. And it's a good one this week.
And kicking it off, June 13th, 2002, the Stanley Cup Final, Game 5 at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Detroit Red Wings beat the Carolina Hurricanes 3-1 for a 4-1 series win. It's the Red Wings' 10th title. And Coach Scotty Bowman retires with the record 9th, the greatest Red Wing coach of all time. We're not even talking about Babcock.
See, I'm trying to keep your ego nice and boosted for at least some type of Detroit sports. Let you know you guys were good ones. It's okay.
At one point we were good. I promise you that.
Definitely. June 13th, 2018, FIFA Congress votes to award the 2026 World Cup to a joint bid by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico as a North American alliance to be able to pull the World Cup.
On the same day last year, the Toronto Raptors beat the defending champion Golden State Warriors 114-110 to win the franchise's first NBA championship, and it was the last game at Oracle Arena in Oakland. Kawhi Leonard was named the MVP.
That's right. June 14th, 1966, Miami beat St. Petersburg in the Florida State League 4-3 in 29 innings in the longest uninterrupted game in organized baseball.
On June 15th, 1902, minor league's most lopsided game took place. Corsicana, 51. Texarkana, 3. Justin Clark of Corsicana hit 8 home runs. 8! They scored 51 runs.
That's ridiculous. June 15th, 2019. That's right. Just last year, in a blockbuster NBA trade, the New Orleans Pelicans send forward Anthony Davis to the LA Lakers for Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and 3 future first-round draft picks, including the number 4 pick in 2019.
And then the Pelicans got number 1 so they could get Zion Williamson. Yeah. I've said it before. I'll say it again. That's rigged. NBA rigs that. We all know that for sure. And June 15th, 2019, the baseball jersey belonging to Babe Ruth becomes the most expensive sports memorabilia when it sells for $5.64 million at an auction in New York.
Absolutely amazing. But we are talking about Babe Ruth. So, June 16th, 1988, in Santa Barbara, California, a team of 32 divers begin cycling underwater on a standard tricycle to complete 116 2/3 miles in 75 hours and 20 minutes. That is insane.
That's insane, but what was the purpose?
I have no idea.
I don't know why anyone would want to do that just for fun. Maybe they're going for some kind of world record.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. You wouldn't find me doing it. I would not last in water that long. Not at all. On the same day, on the very next year, in 1989, 4 hole-in-ones are made by 4 different players on the 6th hole during the 89th U.S. Open at Oak Hill. They were done by Jerry Pate, Nick Price, Doug Weaver, and Mark Weeb. Only hole-in-ones were recorded in the U.S. Open history prior. Only 17 hole-in-ones were recorded prior.
Yeah, absolutely insane to see that. June 17th, 1997, Can't English today. NHL announces it will add Nashville in 1998, Atlanta in 1999, and Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Columbus, Ohio in 2000, which brought us almost to what we have now, because can't forget we got Las Vegas after.
Hey, 3 out of 4 ain't bad, or 3 out of 4, using fingers right. Atlanta was a disaster, but they finally moved them back where they belong. That's to right. Winnipeg. They took them from Winnipeg to go to Atlanta. Thankfully, they moved them back to where they belong in Winnipeg. On June 18th, 1960, Arnold Palmer stages the greatest comeback in U.S. Open tournament history. He erases a 7-stroke final round deficit to win his only U.S. Open title by 2 strokes ahead of Jack Nicklaus, Golden Bear.
It's okay, because Jack Nicklaus on the same day, 7 years later in 1967, shoots a final round 65 for a new tournament record of 275, 4 strokes ahead of who? Arnold Palmer.
2 of the greatest golfers of all time. On June 19th, 1943, your Philadelphia Eagles and Pittsburgh Steelers merge, becoming the Pennsylvania Steagles for 1 season. But it was for good reason, because of World War II. The merger dissolves on December 5th prior to returning to their previous names. So it was for a good cause. It was for a good cause.
I mean, we had to help the good old boys and, take down the Charlies and all that kind of stuff. So, or no, I guess then it was the Bratwurst? I don't know. All the crazy code names they had then. So, June 19th, 2016, the Cleveland Cavaliers win their first title, beating the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors 93-89 for a 4-3 series victory, and they were the first team to overcome a 3-1 game deficit in the finals. MVP, none other than King James, LeBron James.
Rigged. I watched that series. If Draymond Green didn't get suspended mysteriously, even though LeBron kind of started that whole fight, if he didn't get suspended in Game 5, the series doesn't go to 7. It doesn't. Just saying.
Just saying.
Well, that does it for sports history. We're going to move on to Give or Go, and we've got a couple of doozies here for Give or Go.
Me too.
This is going to be good. I guess, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You go ahead and throw it out there if you want. Or I'll
All
throw
right.
it to you. You know what? I'm going to throw it to you because you put it on here, and I'm going to have a lot of things to say about this, so I'm going to let you get out there first. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook says that he won't participate in, quote, any team-related activities until and unless he gets a new contract. Give or go.
We're going to end up giving on this, but it shouldn't be much of a case because Dalvin Cook is trying to go the route of Melvin Gordon. But guess what? It didn't work out for Melvin Gordon very well. He didn't get the money he wanted. He ended up going to another team within the same division that already has a loaded backfield. In Denver. So he originally wanted $16 million per year. The Vikings are offering less than $10 million. Why is that relevant? Because there are a whole list of free agent running backs in 2021. And I'm going to name these off really quickly. Some of these are not going to end up being free agents because guys like Alvin Kamara, they're going to be re-signed.
Good.
But you got Kenyon Drake, Todd Gurley, Tariq Cohen, Joe Mixon, Kareem Hunt, Phillip Lindsay, Aaron Jones, Marlon Mack, Leonard Fournette, Damian Williams, James Conner, Chris Carson, Tevin Coleman, and Derrick Henry. That's a long list of names to pick from if you're the Vikings. And yes, they play better with Dalvin Cook on the field, but if you're running back, you should know this by now. You're not going to get what you've asked for. Le'Veon Bell tried sitting out a year. Didn't really work out. He took less money to go to a worse team. And the same thing happened with Melvin Gordon. He took less money to go to a worse team.
Yeah, ultimately, that's how that all ended up working out. And the big thing I look at with the entire situation is that you're starting to see running backs try to hold out for more money, and not trying to say that you shouldn't if you're a good player, but at the end of the day, running backs are no longer the valued position they once were. And I'm not trying to say that Dalvin Cook's not a good player, but the thing is, from the Vikings' perspective, you have all of these players, though, that are going to be free agents. Now, like you said, some are going to re-sign. However, a good number of these might not. Kenyon Drake got traded to Arizona. We don't know if he's truly going to stay. Tariq Cohen's been in a weird situation, huh?
Kenyon Drake, Cardinals do like him.
They do like him, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Right. I could see Gurley being available. Cohen, Hunt's not going anywhere. Lindsey's not going anywhere.
I wouldn't doubt that. Hunt, I think, could definitely be on the move.
Think so? Oh, well, he's playing with
Cleveland
with Chubb. So, yeah, he could be out there.
That's what I'm saying, is that there's going to be players out there. Leonard Fournette is one that's also looking to be on the move. Alvin Kamara is one that's probably going to stay, as will James Conner and Derrick Henry. But a lot of these you're going to see on the move. And that's the thing, is that there's going to be backs that the Vikings can go and get that are going to be cheaper than spending money on Dalvin Cook, who's already had a major injury in the first few years of his career as well. So that's also something they have to keep in mind for his durability. So, You know what I mean? You got to kind of figure – pick and choose your battles when it comes to trying to keep players. Is Dalvin Cook going to be really worth the 16 or 15 million a year he originally wanted when the Vikings are trying to pay him less than 10? So it just doesn't make sense to me that the Vikings would try and really retain him past this year.
But there is one bright spot to this potential situation.
What's that?
The Lions might not have to face Dalvin Cook at all this year. And it would be fantastic. I would love to not have to worry about, as a Lions fan, if Dalvin Cook's going to be on the field or not. Yeah, just let him sit out the whole year. It's fine.
No big deal, guys. Oh, I mean, it could actually happen. So we'll definitely have to see how that breaks down. But, I don't know. We'll see how it works out.
All right, moving on to the next one. We got NASCAR announced Wednesday that, quote, the display of the Confederate flag will be prohibited from all NASCAR events and properties, end quote. And give or go, Chris.
Well, this one we're going to give on just for a little bit. At the end of the day, this is a beautiful, but honestly a way too late move by NASCAR. NASCAR should have done this forever ago. I think, honestly, it ended up just becoming a position, especially for the drivers, where they were just too scared to say anything. They didn't want to be ostracized or put out just because I didn't support the flag that, flies on a lot of campers that sit out in the infield. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But they finally did it, and they only did it after you saw the only African-American driver in NASCAR, Bubba Wallace, who drives for Richard Petty Motorsports, by the way, and I'll explain why that's important in a minute. But he's the one that called for this ban, and he also drove a car this past Wednesday that had Black Lives Matter all over the car. Beautiful sight. So,
yeah, and it's great because you mentioned a lot of other race car drivers may have been scared about stepping up. Since Bubba Wallace has done it, this man, this is the impact that one person can have on a sport. Bubba Wallace, what he's done in a couple of days is what some industries, the NFL hasn't really, they've been under fire for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if Colin Kaepernick would have been listened to right away by the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine what that would have been like. That's what Bubba Wallace did, is he took a stand and he told NASCAR, you need to change this. And they were smart enough to finally do it. Yeah, you're right. It took way too long. But my question now is going to be, how are they going to handle it with the fans? You can still buy that flag on shirts. You can still buy them in stores. We live in Florida. There's little pop-up trailers and shops that sell that stuff around everywhere around here. And it's unfortunate, but it's, how are you going to handle that with the fans? Are you going to tell them to wear something else? Are you going to ban them without refunds if they refuse? Like, how are you going to handle it? That's what I want to see, but I think they took a great step in the right direction so far.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how it pans out in a literal sense, especially when they do start to slowly allow fans to come back. They're already talking about doing it at Homestead and one other track I can't recall at the moment. But at the end of the day, it's still the right move. It's what needs to be done. It's an antiquated flag for a country that does not exist because it lost. So just get it out of the way, and let's not even talk about the rest of what it represents.
Their flag is waved every race.
Every single race.
The white flag.
That's right.
Flag
That's the proper flag. But at the end of the day, though, the reason this ended up being so big with Bubba Wallace being the driver to stand up for it is because other than him being the only African-American driver in the Monster Energy Cup Series, he drives for Richard Petty Motorsports, which means he has the 43, the most iconic number next to the number 3 in NASCAR emblazoned upon his car. He has one of the most successful drivers in his quarter. The king himself is in support of Bubba Wallace, in support of what he's doing and why he did this. So you're already seeing drivers now that are starting to come out. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came out and even put his piece. He was for 15 years plus NASCAR's most popular driver, and said even his father would be happy that NASCAR did this. So if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what else will.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So to you, though, the NFL pledges $250 million over the next 10 years to social justice efforts in education. Give or go.
I am really happy that this is happening, but I think NFL is now doing it because Nike's already done it. Jordan Brand's already done it. Like, Jordan himself has already done it. This is way too late. NFL, you should have done this a couple of years ago. You should have listened to Colin Kaepernick a couple of years ago. You should have made statements about this a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, yeah, it's great, but everybody that can see through their BS knows that they're only doing it now because they're like, they kind of have to.
Oh yeah.
So that's the only reason that I'm not really happy that they're doing it now. They should have done it a few years ago, but it's a good gesture nonetheless. But it's just, I think it's empty. It's an empty gesture at this point.
I mean, it is the right thing to do at this point, but I agree. It kind of is an empty gesture. It's kind of what is expected rather than being something that can be really celebrated. Just because the NFL should have done this back 2016 when Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee on the sideline, trying to already protest peacefully the atrocities and brutalities that were happening to the African-American community. So it just blows my mind in every way that, you know, the NFL couldn't listen, but they did release their own statement stating how they obviously were wrong and they should have listened. So at least now we can see that we're moving in the right direction, and you're seeing so many entities at this point that are taking an approach of doing whatever they can because, hey, everybody done screwed up.
Yeah, it's this whole movement has been a long time coming. And it's never fun to see how it's happening, you know, with the riots and the police brutality all over the place. But just like any major event in this country, unfortunately, that's the measures that people have to take to make sure that justice is actually served. So I'm glad that companies are stepping up and donating to social injustice efforts. And it's finally, I think it's finally a step in the right direction for the major entities and corporations around the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's long overdue, and it's good to see it finally happening, but it's just,
yep.
Well, you know, we'll just leave it at that. It's good it's finally happening, and we're just going to keep it moving. But
all right, last topic for Give or Go. Seattle Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll said he received a call from another head coach and GM about Colin Kaepernick, and he said, quote, "Someone is interested," and that's all he said.
Oh my
Give or
gosh.
go.
All right, so I am going to give on it, given, we just mentioned him in the previous topic for give or go. So with Colin Kaepernick, I think a team at this point would be interested. I had always cried that the biggest reason teams are staying away from him flatly is because, he has been blacklisted to a certain extent, but also because it's a PR nightmare to have someone who's a loose cannon like Kaepernick on your team. But now it's become socially acceptable. So with that being said, teams now are going to be like, okay, well, if he kneels on the sideline, I don't have to worry about Trump trying to decry me or the league trying to decry me or the owners trying to decry me. So let's let it happen. You know what I mean? It's all for a good cause now. Sure, we couldn't listen 4 years ago, but and that's where it's at now. So with that in mind, Pete Carroll's also someone who came out right after and stated that he was someone who regretted not signing Kaepernick back in 2017 after he left the 49ers. So
I think he says that because he's like, oh, I want to seem like the hero here, but then why didn't you sign him? Oh, I could tell you exactly why.
The same reason no one else did.
Because it was gonna be at the time a media circus, which it still will be whoever signs him.
But now it's acceptable.
But now it'll be like, okay, we're doing this for the PR move, regardless of whether he makes the field or not. But you got to think, why would they want to sign him if he thinks, and Carroll even said that I didn't want to sign him because I think he should be a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So then why were you interested in bringing him in? You didn't even work him out. You just met with him one day. And then, okay, you've got Russell Wilson, so why were you looking at him to begin with? Maybe the meeting, they decided that, you know what, he wants to start, we're not going to be able to give it to him, so we're not going to sign him. Why didn't they just say that? Why didn't they just say that? So now he's like, oh, I wanted to sign him, but, and then that's just kind of what he left it at. So it's unfortunate, but I still think Kaepernick will get a spot somewhere, and just brace yourselves because it's going to be every single day a media circus. And I know that when he started kneeling and protesting about the police brutality, he was doing what he should be doing on that platform if you're a player and you want to speak out about issues. It's just going to get that much more magnified now. Yeah, so as a team, you got to wonder, are you going to be willing to take that risk? And if you think he's good enough to play on the football field, so be it.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see how it works out. I honestly don't think, though, that he has the capability to be a starter. I just don't think he has it at this point. He's also been removed now 4 years from the league, also not helping you. Now, the workout he turned in, put aside all the media circus that surrounded it, was not a bad workout, but it's just a workout. That's not, in a game situation. So we'll see how it works out, see maybe how he would do if he does get signed and how he'd do in camp. Maybe he at least gets on as a backup, and who knows, maybe he will get a shot. Injuries happen. So you never know.
Yeah. If he decides that he, you're looking at other teams that might sign him. I wouldn't even be surprised if a place like Carolina could use somebody like him. Mm-hmm. I love some Gardner Minshew. I love the mustache, but Jacksonville's always been kind of tossed out there as a location for him too. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned he's 32 years old. He's not going to get, I don't know if he's going to get back to that form that he was when he was leading the second half of the year, the 49ers to the Super Bowl.
Well, another team you could probably throw out there that I've also been looking at are the Chargers. Even though they got Tyrod Taylor, we saw how that experiment worked out, not only with Buffalo but with Cleveland. So, there's a lot of ways this could go because everybody's trying to get a little good PR, and not saying a cap would be good PR, but it's PR.
I wouldn't throw them in there just because they drafted Herbert. I was going to say the Dolphins. True. Dolphins got Tua. Like the teams that just drafted quarterbacks probably won't be in the mix, but a team like Carolina doesn't really have a quarterback. Jacksonville, they haven't really.
Carolina has Teddy Bridgewater. That guy wins games. That's the Saints.
Yeah, but is he a starter? He's always been a bridge guy, and I think that's still until he proves it.
I mean, when you have a shattered knee, it's kind of hard to prove it, but
I know, but It's not condemning the guy or anything.
Oh,
He's
no, but
he's a great player when he's healthy.
yeah, it's just a
the
lot of
issue.
there's a lot of ways it could work out. We'll see. Either way, though, that's this week's Give or Go, and now it's time to take a look at the week ahead. What do you got?
And kicking it off, the final score, the gaming stream team. I'm working on some things. I was working on the interview all day last night and tonight. So today. So hopefully we're going to get some streaming done tomorrow. It's going to be on Twitch, and probably a few times throughout this week. I'm going to be on the road again this week. So we're going to be doing the Road Warriors stuff out there. So be on the lookout for that. If you enjoy some video games, if you enjoy some sports games streaming. Catch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/PCN Final Score. We got a couple people watching on Twitch currently at the moment, so appreciate you dropping in there.
Thank you guys.
But yeah, if you want to catch that, probably over the next couple days, be streaming quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. But we also have some exciting things on the network side. You can definitely check out the independent wrestling podcast Block Party that's going to be hosted by Everett Lee of The Everett Lee Show, and will feature Robin Nelson of Wrestle Podcast, Jimmy Baxter of Rogue Opinions, David C. Russell of Deathmatch Russell Podcast, and they will have special guests, none other than the master of wrestling ring music, J.J. McGuire, the Hurricane himself. It's going to be an amazing time. That's right. It's going to be tomorrow, Sunday, June 14th, 3 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, live on Facebook Live at facebook.com/The Everett Lee. And I tell you what, it's going to be amazing to see this. It's going to be good stuff.
Yeah, you got some pretty good names on there. If you're a wrestling fan, we've got the hookup for you on Podcast City Network. So to go ahead and check that out. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely going to be really exciting. And let's also not forget, though, we got WWE Backlash is going to be tomorrow. I don't know if anyone's really going to watch it. I know there's not going to be anybody watching it in person. So,
Yeah.
It's not actually live either because it was taped a week and a half ago. But,
Yeah, I'm still upset that I could not attend WrestleMania this year. I had tickets.
Same.
I was ready to go. And then COVID happened. But I really feel bad for Edge and Randy Orton because they've already pre-billed the match as the greatest wrestling match ever. And I'm pretty sure you can't do that. Vince has taken some pretty big risks by dubbing that as the greatest wrestling match ever. I remember, The Rock and John Cena did something similar to that when they were facing each other on and off for a year or two. But I don't know. I haven't really watched wrestling in a while. I mean, I'll watch stuff that we are a part of at Podcast City Network, but I don't really watch WWE anymore.
Yeah, and I actually have to tell a little honest truth right now, and that's I have not watched any wrestling WWE related since before WrestleMania. So, it is what it is, kind of just been jonesing for sports and watching Notre Dame beat Michigan and Notre Dame beat USC, and it's just been wonderful. Trying to fill that void, and then throwing a copy of Rudy, who should have made it out of the. I didn't say it was the last meeting I watched. Thank you, sir. It was the last Notre Dame home game against Michigan. See, got you there.
See.
But either way, though, it's going to be some good stuff going on this weekend, and then of course we still have Bundesliga and the million soccer leagues that are coming back, and eventually we will have our own sports back, and it's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait.
New Zealand had a full stadium of fans because they haven't had any new cases of COVID in 3 weeks.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
That's pretty cool. Rugby's also right in full swing right now. What was it? Last weekend, I actually was up late enough to watch a match live, like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I don't really sleep much, when I'm on the road and in different time zones. Yeah.
What's that?
But it was fun. I'm hoping that we can get Kevin Wathen back on here for some rugby review updates soon.
Yeah, we haven't had rugby review. I know USA Rugby has kind of come to a complete halt at this point, so they're still trying to figure things out, and there really hasn't been anything new in the world of rugby. So hopefully we'll be able to get him back on soon and be able to check that out as well. But definitely make sure to check back this week on our social media for when we post the interview with Chris LeBron. Should be up tonight, tomorrow, Monday, somewhere in that window. And definitely check that out. It'll be on our YouTube page at PCN Final Score. Definitely going to be some great stuff. And then also check back for when we announce our next episode 63 of Final Score. And then a couple more episodes, and Final Score can retire. And then we can really have some fun. So going to be good stuff. But thank you all for watching and supporting Final Score. Again, follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram by searching at PCN Final Score. Give us a like, give us a follow, share, invite, the whole schmeal. And please just show your great support for Final Score. Thank you all for watching. I'm Chris. That's Craig. And you just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night. Podcast City Network.